Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Sunandini, and I'll be your host for today. Let's get to the objective. We are going to get into very interesting tricks, starting from paper resume building to reading an interviewer's body language to get them interested in you. For this, we are going to touch upon best tailored paper resumes as per specific industries, roles that can get the HR or the faculty to approve you for the first round. Number two, how social media can help you create a personal brand. Number three, how to prepare for an interview, from what to read to even understand small clues and body languages that your interviewer is giving. And number four, act and react the way interviewer wants you to so that you can stand out from the competition. And today I have with me Ms. Muskan Kandoi, a public speaking coach by profession, the area director of Toastmasters International, a graphologist who analyzes personality traits by looking at handwritings, if I'm not wrong, and is on her way into getting certified as a soft skills trainer and image consultant. She recently became a certified NLP coach. That means she's trained to detect minute clues in the behavior and communication of people to understand them in depth. So, welcome, Muskan. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
So we are going to test these and see how we can work smartly to be in command of our interviews. I'm happy for everyone who is watching. I hope some people are watching us. So everyone watching, if you guys have any questions regarding this, you can just type it on the live chat and we'll take it up at the end of the session. For now, I have a few questions for Muskan. So we'll continue with those. So, Muskan, let's get to the start of a paper resume, the very first non-direct impression that one leaves for their recruiter or the faculty.
Right.
So, what are the common mistakes people make during while building their resume, and how can you avoid them?
Okay. So, what I have seen mostly the common mistakes that people are making. Number one, they're using a very generic resume for all the applications that they're sending. If they are sending applications to 10 companies, they're using that one particular resume, not tailoring it according to the job description and according to the company, according to the role. And they're sending it to everyone. That's one thing that can be avoided, because reading the job description and about the company, what are they looking for, is something very important. Second thing is they're using a very confusing layout, different font styles, different font size, colorful resume. Honestly, it's not required. A resume has to be very simple, very clean, and easy to read. A recruiter takes only 6 to 12 seconds to go through the resume. That's the first impression you're making on the resume. So sticking to a particular font size, a very formal font, is something that makes the resume very clear to understand. The third thing that I feel is nowadays they include a very lot of unnecessary information. Like your date of birth isn't required, hobbies, personal interests, all of these are not required on your resume unless specifically asked for, like photos. Why would someone need your photo for a resume? Not required. For a biodata, it's very different. That is something that people fail to understand. So that is something that they can remove and they can avoid. And the fourth is definitely proofreading. I have seen resumes which have typos and grammatical errors. Now that creates a very bad impression. It shows that the applicant wasn't even serious to go through the resume once again, to proofread the resume once again. So these are the four things I would say the common mistake that can be easily avoided in the resume.
Got it. So I just want to get back into this place. Like I am maybe a kid who is for the first time writing his or her own resume.
Yeah.
So we have a sheet. Is it like, I just want to understand how many sheets does a resume also have? And where do I start if I have a blank page?
Okay. So for example, if you are a fresher, I'm taking as a kid fresh out of college, resume should be of 1 page, not more than that. That is sufficient. Unless you have enough work experience of 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, then it can extend to 2 pages. But ideally, it should be a 1 page. Now, where to start from? Number one, choosing a format. So there are a lot of formats available online. There's Canva, there's Nova Resume. You can also use Google Docs for that. Second is gathering all the information that you have. What I suggest here is, as soon as you go to college, start maintaining a live documentation of whatever you are doing on a daily basis. Something different. If you have probably anchored, you have hosted a seminar or you have hosted an event, you're giving a group presentation, start noting it down from day one with the date and what have you achieved. So what happens is when you are making resume 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, you have all the information and you can choose according to what you want at that particular point of time. This is the live documentation part and gathering all the information. Third step that can be taken is having a header. So header is basically where you mention your name, your email address, and your contact number. That is sufficient. Then you start off by mentioning your education in a chronological order. For example, currently you're studying in college, you mentioned that, and your 12th grade. 10th grade nowadays is not considered, it's not important to be mentioned. And if you have finished your college, then even 12th grade marks are not important, not necessary to mention. Only your grade, only your college degree with the coursework that you did. For example, if you are going for a marketing job, so mention the subjects that you have studied for marketing, which would help you in your job. So that is something that you can do. After education, you go with your work experience. Now, for a fresher, they might or might not have work experience. So mentioning few internships that they did, mentioning few group projects that they did, mentioning the work experience. Then we move on to extracurriculars. Now, mentioning something that you did in 6th standard, 7th standard, not relevant to the resume for sure. So mention things that you have done in the last 1-2 years, maximum 12th grade after 12th grade. Unless you have national awards regarding something, then you can definitely mention. After work experience comes your skills. Now you're mentioning technical skills, languages, and certifications. That's enough. Nothing more than that. We do not require to mention soft skills as another paragraph and mentioning, okay, I have leadership quality, communication quality, persuasive. Not required. That. So this is how you go ahead. So this is how the entire format of a resume is. I'll again just repeat it. So you start with education, move to work experience, then your extracurricular activities, then your skills.
Got it. So on that point, you said that some people have national level certificates like cricket or football or basketball, taekwondo, whatever it is. But I think most of us don't have these things. But still, we want to be unique and we want to be presented unique at least in some sense. So how do we highlight these points, or if we don't have much to write about, are we boring people? Like it will be there on the resume. You'll see on the sheet, this person hadn't done anything. So how do we tackle with that?
So honestly, there's something like boring person. If you haven't done something, you definitely, the applicants have done something. They have been a part of college. So the things that they can mention is number one, transferable skills. Now, what I mean by transferable skills, like communication, leadership quality, delegation. But what happens here is the candidates are mentioning that as a separate paragraph. Instead of that, they should include it with the things that they have done. For example, they were a part of a research project. Okay. Now in research project, they can mention that they researched on this project or they did this group project. And when you are mentioning the activities that were undertaken, that is where you mention the skills. That, okay, problem was solved, probably teamwork, led a team of 10 people or was a part of a team with 10 people. So this is where you mention all of these skills. Second is mentioning relevant coursework. Now, for example, someone is fresh out of college might not have done internships, but they have studied in college, right? They have completed few courses, the credit courses. They can mention that. That shows that they have knowledge and interest in that particular field. Third is they can mention volunteering experiences. If they have volunteered in some community work, some organization, they can definitely mention that. Certifications and trainings that they have undertaken. While we do a lot of online courses, MOOC courses that are called in college. So they can mention that. And any personal project, for example, if they were writing a blog, and they can mention they wrote a blog. They mentioned that they were writing on LinkedIn, so they can mention that on the resume. So these are few things that they can do if they feel that they haven't achieved something on a national level or haven't really done internships or do not have work experience. These are the things they can definitely mention.
Okay. And what about people who are going for a specific job or a role or in a specific school, college, industry? So they need to tailor the whole resume as per that. So for example, let's say there's a finance MBA student and a
Right,
grad wants to apply for an investment banking job in some top firms. So some things
right.
that they should be mindful during their written resume. So what should they highlight upon? How do they highlight in a resume?
So, number one is they should definitely show some finance experience. Now, finance experience in terms of if they might have done internships, they definitely
Hmm.
can mention that. If again, as I mentioned, they have done online courses, certifications, they can mention that. However, one thing they need to keep in mind is that if they have done internships and they have work experience, they need to quantify those accomplishments. Just not
Hmm.
mentioning the duty that I was a part of this company and I did this work. No, they have to mention what happened. How much percentage of benefit did the company have after doing that work? Probably they can mention that this much percentage of cost was reduced. That
Hmm.
is something that they can mention. And they can also emphasize on relevant coursework. For example, if thinking about a finance grad, they can mention corporate finance, finance modeling. They have these courses in
Hmm.
college. They can mention that. If they were a part of some leadership clubs, because when a company is hiring, they also see whether a applicant is capable of managing projects. They have experience in leading teams. So they can mention some leadership work that they have done. And
Hmm.
apart from that, they also need to tailor their resume according to the job description. Nowadays, most of the companies use ATS. It's an
Hmm.
application tracking software. Now, if what ATS does is basically it reads the job description and takes out keywords. If those
Hmm.
keywords match in your resume, then you go to the next step. So it's very important for that finance grad to see the job description, pick up keywords from there, and make sure he or she is adding that when they are making the resume.
Okay,
Yes.
that's interesting. And I've seen that you have 25K or so followers on Instagram. So I
Yeah.
really want to understand that making a followership on any social media platform, how will that help in resume building or personal branding when interviews or when setting for interviews for different
Right.
companies?
So, what I realized over time is personal branding goes a great way. If today I am in college, I am probably doing my MBA, okay,
Hmm.
but I choose one topic of my interest and start writing articles on that on LinkedIn, maybe following the current trends and just posting whatever I feel. There are
Hmm.
recruiters who are watching you.
Right.
There are recruiters, there are people working in that company who are watching your particular post. You are getting known for that particular field. Now, if your viewership rises, LinkedIn, your impression goes to 10,000 views, 20,000 views. You can mention that on your resume that you were writing for this on this particular topic and your viewership increased. Your followers increased. One small
Hmm.
example. Today I'm having this interview with this webinar with you because you found me on LinkedIn, right? How did you find me?
Right.
Because you found that I particularly deal with these topics, right?
Right.
So my personal brand was already made on LinkedIn. Same with Instagram. I started posting on soft skills from a very early stage. And
Hmm.
I got hiring opportunities from LinkedIn and Instagram
Right.
just because I was posting on this particular topic. They understood, okay, I know this topic really well.
Hmm.
So that creates a very strong impact. And mentioning that on on your resume shows that you were particularly and diligently working on one particular topic and you have interest in that field. And you actually stand out than other interviewers, applicants, then because you have done something in this field already. So
Correct.
that is how it helps.
Understood. So let's move on to maybe the interview prep part of this whole
Right.
webinar. So can you just mention some of the key things that we should keep in mind while preparing for our job interviews, and how can you make sure you're presenting yourself in the best way possible?
Okay. Uh, if I have to think of interviews, the first thing that comes to my mind is preparing for three things, remembering
Okay.
three things basically: research,
Hmm.
preparation, and practice. These three
Okay.
things: research, preparation, practice. These go a long way when it comes to interviews. Now, when I talk about research, if today I'm applying for a company, the company would want to know why am I fit for the job. They
Hmm.
have gone through my resume, they know I have the skills. But why am I fit for that company? To prove that point, I need to have thorough research about the company. I need to understand their cultures, their values, what particularly are they dealing with, what product services are they dealing with, what are they offering to employees. I need to be aware of that. The second thing is the job description. If today my skill set do not match the job description, the company might reject me. So reading the job description and see what are the strengths. Of course, if a company has 10 things mentioned in the job description, you might not know all 10. You might know six. So you can mention those six as your strengths. And the things that are left, you can say that, okay, you are trying to learn because every company teaches you. No one goes with full knowledge about one particular field or one particular job. But if you show your strengths in the six things that you already know, that highlights. Second is preparing for common interview questions. Like that, well, tell me something about yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Why should we hire you? So these are some common questions that can be prepared beforehand. Obviously, by this, I do not mention mugging up the answers, finding answers on Google and mugging up, because that does not make sense. And an interviewer is smart enough to know that you have mugged up the answers. So just having like a rough draft, okay, these are my strengths. I would like to give these examples. Apart from that, definitely practicing it before you go ahead. Go for mock interviews, practice with your friends. And on the main day, again, dressing up properly. So these are few things that one should take care of while they start preparing for the interview.
And the research part is so important. I've seen so many people applying without even seeing what the company does.
Right.
So that is always very annoying for the recruiter.
Yes.
So so your whole description, I was very intrigued by one thing. You are an NLP coach. First of all, I had to Google it, what it is, and then I understood. But I would really like you to explain us what it is and how body language plays a role in helping you to crack an interview.
Right. First of all, NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. It helps to understand certain behaviors and patterns of people who are in front of you, and you gather information from them, and you accordingly behave in that particular manner. So when it comes to body language in interview, I would not say that go with the body. That's 100% true. Do not rely on body language always, because sometimes the interviewer might be doing it to test your pressure. I'll give a small example. When I was in college, I did not really know a lot about interviews. And it was my placement cell interview. The interviewer asked me a question and he left the room. I got nervous. I'm like, did I offend him? What is happening? Why did he go? My face, the pressure could be seen on my face. But then that was a trick by the interviewer to just see how do I behave in this pressure. So sometimes the interviewer might not show what's going on in their mind while you are being interviewed. So, but however, we can always be the best and we can understand small things. For example, eye contact. Your interviewer as well as the interviewee both have to have good eye contact. If sometimes I'm talking, I'm looking down, up, it shows that I'm sort of nervous. I'm not confident with the answers. Some people might also think it as a way of lying, that the applicant is lying. Second is facial expressions. Having a smile on the face, constant, just being very blank on the face also shows that you're not enthusiastic. So that is something that can be taken care of. Third is body posture. If you are leaning forward, if you feel the interviewer is leaning forward while listening to you, that means he or she is interested. He or she wants to know more about you. Same way, having our body posture, not sitting clumsily. Like at home, generally, we have this habit, as soon as we sit on a chair, we sit very lazily. So that happens when it happens in interviews also. Because it's 45 minutes interview, 1 hour interview. First 10 minutes, we're sitting straight. But then gradually, we start lowering our shoulders, going down. That is something that needs to be taken care of. Apart from this, verbal cues. For example, the tone, the pace of the voice. If today my tone is if my voice pace is very fast, the interviewer might not understand what I'm trying to say. So keeping it down and also stressing on few words. For example, I'll give a very common sentence that maybe the applicant is telling about the salary, that what is his or her expected salary is. Now, this time, if the applicant stresses on, I am expecting something between the range of 30,000 to 40,000, they show that the person is talking more about money. So this time they can
Hmm.
mellow down their voice and just speak like, I'm expecting somewhere between 30 to 40K. So keeping,
Hmm.
not stressing on the wrong words. If today he or she is talking about how they did something well in school or maybe something well in college, they were part of a leadership team and they were successful. That is the time having a much more enthusiasm in voice shows that it kind of they were happy about it and it shows they were interested. So changing the voice
Hmm.
also matters a lot when it comes to body language and non-verbal cues. That's what we call about.
Good. So it's always been my thing, like as I was talking to you before also, that these things are not just one, two pointers. There are so many things that
Yeah,
you need to work on. So
correct.
just imagining if we are in that interview seat, we are prepared, we have sent our resume, it got shortlisted, we are sitting in the interview table, we just walked in and the interviewer is there. And don't know who the interviewer will be, how he or she will
Yeah,
react and what will happen.
right,
So can you, and one of the primemost thing is confidence that you need to show, which is
correct.
always important. So
Yes,
if I am in a situation where I walked in through that door and the interviewer is right there, so can you give some tips that how to start and show yourself to be someone who will be liked by most of the people and is a
right.
confident person?
So what happens is it's a very common thing to be nervous, to be
Yeah.
anxious, to have those butterflies in the stomach before entering the interview cabin. And it's very normal. If you're not having that, it's something
Hmm.
wrong, I would say. However, that is something that shouldn't show on the face of the applicant.
Hmm.
There are few things to manage. Number one, I would suggest is arriving before time. So if you're arriving in haste, okay, you feel okay, the interview starts at 10, I will be there by 9:55 a.m. Those 5 minutes might
Hmm.
not be sufficient to calm you down. So arriving 10 minutes early will help you calm you
Hmm.
down. So before you enter the room, you are calmed down before that. You will not enter in haste. The second thing is entering with a very positive smile and warmth because the interviewer should feel that you are an approachable person and you're easy to talk to. So that's when you enter. Am I audible? Yeah. So
Yes,
that's
yes.
how you enter the room.
Hmm.
Apart, okay. Apart from that, before even entering the room, there are few things I suggest to practice to have maintained that confidence level. Number one is deep breathing. Deep breathing helps a lot. It helps you to calm you down to a certain extent.
Hmm.
Second, positive self talk. What happens is we always keep thinking about the worst that could possibly happen. Probably I won't understand the question. I won't know the answer of this question. So we're already feeding our brain with all of these negative thoughts.
Hmm.
How will we have that positive approach there, right? So thinking of all the positive self-talk that time, thinking of what are my strengths at that particular time, what examples can I give about my particular strength. So these can help you calm down your nerves. When you calm down your nerves, at once you will understand that you will feel confident more. And apart from this, I would say preparing and practicing before
Hmm.
the interview. Now, as soon as you enter the room, obviously have a good posture, enter with a smile, and do not sit down until the interviewer tells you to sit down. You can
Okay.
start with a greeting, good morning, good afternoon, sir or ma'am, and keep standing until the interviewer tells you to sit down. So this is what can be done as soon as you reach the interview place.
Understood. So, like I said, every interviewer is very different, and it's easy to say that okay, be confident, go deep, deep. But some of the things that you're talking about is actually very easy to do. People just don't
Yes,
do it because they are scared
correct.
at that point of time. So, just being mindful of that. But the second most important thing is one is your action that you spoke about. The second is the reaction. So now, for
Right.
example, if we enter a room and there is the interviewer sitting there, and how do you react or behave when you see a person because see what happens is when we join or enter this room, we are also judging
Yes,
the interviewer. We are
correct,
also
correct.
seeing if he's a
Right.
Harus sir or she's a very sweet lady
Right,
HR.
right.
So we are
Definitely.
always doing that, and whenever we answer we are seeing if they're smiling or nodding their head, so
Right,
we get this confidence. So now
correct.
how should we react with different kinds of people who are sitting in our panel, and basically the reaction. question instead of the action. So how do we take care of that part?
Right. So, of course, every interviewer is different. And when they nod and when they smile, it's kind of a validation. Okay, I'm speaking right.
Yeah.
And they are agreeing to it. But then there are some interviewers who will have a poker face, who will not respond, who will just be like, okay, I'm listening. Even though they might be doing that, we have to be professional and we have to keep on believing, okay, whatever I am saying is right. Now there are a lot of sweet interviewers, that there's a flow of conversation happening than an interview happening. We need to remember at this point of time also that we do not become very informal with the interviewer just because the interviewer is speaking very politely, is very sweet, very friendly. That's one thing that kept to be mind. For example, now we have some rude interviewers, that who are not engaging with us. That is the time we need to stay focused on the goals, stay focused on the answers. That particular, we need to understand that the other person might not be reacting because of the nature they have. That shouldn't deter us or stop us from answering our questions on a positive note. If we feel that the validation is not coming from their face, we can start giving specific examples. For example, if you're telling about weakness and we say that, like it's a very common answer, I have this ability of not saying no. I cannot say no. This is what a common weakness that a lot of people see. Now the interviewer might just say, okay, just have this face. And then you feel, okay, what did I do wrong? Did I say something very common? At that particular time, not losing our confidence and giving one specific example of this is what happened and this is what I got out of it. Again, we also need to make sure that we are adaptable to the interview's cues. If, for example, we feel that the interviewer has started moving their head and is particularly not interested in that particular answer, change the answer. Think of something. For every particular strength, weakness, every particular thing that has been like, how do you handle pressure? Have 2 examples for each. So that if this is not working, you can mention the second one. Here, the main thing we need to realize is that the interview is for us. We have to be ourselves. We need to maintain that professional image, even though the interviewer might not be reacting, might have a poker face, might be smiling too much. We need to understand that we need to be confident with what we are speaking about.
Got it. So, see, I have taken a lot of interviews of professionals who have gone to many different various Amazon, Google, or some Microsoft. So I always have this curiosity, okay, how did your interview go? So I always ask this question. And one common thing that I've always received is these people are good with interviewing and good with molding their answers and twisting it towards and taking the whole interview towards something which they are very confident with and they are good at. Like an engineer, a mechanical engineer will talk about the whole part of engineering, which he's very much confident in. He has worked on it. And he'll take he'll drive the whole interview into that, even if the interviewer is from a finance background and is taking an interview for a finance job. He'll still make sure that mechanical engineering is being asked. So, you know, that is the sort of mindset that I've very much seen in MBA people who are joining IIMs or who just are going to some company. So that is the important, like I always get this answer. What I want to know from you is, if I want to do the same thing, how do I drive the whole conversation to what I exactly want to answer? And I have prepared maybe, which I won't let the interviewer know, but I want to take the direction of this whole conversation.
Right. So this is something that even I did. So when I was appearing for my KPMG interview, what I did was I was very interested in public speaking. I knew a lot about it. I knew a lot about Toastmasters. So when the interviewer asked me a particular example that where did you show your leadership qualities? I started about Toastmasters and I spoke for 15 minutes about public speaking, about Toastmasters and everything else around it. So that is when they saw that confidence on my face because speaking about something that I actually know. So what helped me here is preparing in advance. I know what my common strengths are. I know the examples that I can give. Second is listening carefully to the interviewer. If you feel that interviewer is asking this specific question, what can I say that will answer that question with my strength? Third is balancing confidence with humility here. Now, if today I might be confident about my particular topic, but I am not humble, about it. That
Hmm.
might again take a wrong way and show that he's or he is overconfident on this particular subject.
Hmm.
So these three things: preparing in advance, listening carefully, having specific examples about our strengths, and then speaking about it. We
Hmm.
have to know that for every answer, what one example can I give from that particular field that
Hmm.
I'm confident about?
Right.
And then we can have a strong impression on the interviewer. Yes.
Got it. So, we spoke about the first impression when a person enters a room, interviewing room,
Right.
and you said to dress properly. You also said
Correct.
that don't sit until the interviewer is upfrontly saying, "Yeah, please sit down. Just
Yes.
stand there." So, I want to get into this in more detail for people who are
Mm-hmm.
really not much experience in this zone. So, can you tell us what dress properly means? Can you also tell us
Yeah.
like any other clues or how what the interviewer looks at the first go
Right.
when they look at you?
Dress properly might mean different things to different people, right? So
Yeah.
just a common thing is when someone looks at you, it should show that you're professional and you're appropriately dressed for the role. If today there is someone who has combed their hair really well and it's here, but there's someone that like girls usually have this bangs. It's coming on their eyes again and again, and they're moving the hair again and again this way. It's distracting. It does not look good. Second, polished
Hmm.
shoes, something very basic, very very basic. Having polished
Hmm.
shoes. I'll just give a small thing here. When you meet someone for the first time, do you notice their shoes? Most of them will answer yes. Do you notice that their shirts are tucked properly? Most of you will answer yes. Belts are proper tucked in. Most of you will answer yes. Collars are ironed and properly in their place. Most of you will answer yes. Pants are proper. Most of you will answer yes. So if we are seeing so much about one person, the recruiter is bound to see when you enter the room. When you enter the room, he's
Right.
going to see you from head to toe. How are you dressed? Do not wear very strong colors.
Hmm.
Have mostly solid colors, very mellow colors like white, cream, light pink, light blue. These are common colors that work. Again, do not have a lot of prints.
Hmm.
Like there are I have seen people coming with tiger print skirts for the interviews. So no, it's not something appropriate that you can wear. Low cut V lines again, not proper. So these are small
Hmm.
dressing properly. What I mean, again, you will be speaking, so your nails will mostly be seen while you're moving your hands. So
Hmm.
make sure they're trimmed properly. They do not have neon color nail polish. So these are small things that need to be taken care of when it comes to dressing and grooming
Okay.
basically when it comes for first
Hmm.
impression. Second is your posture, as I mentioned, the way you sit. If today you are sitting lazily, if your legs are not properly kept, so it might show that you are lazy or you do not know how to sit properly. And
Hmm.
when you dress up properly, you will see at once you have the confidence. The confidence reflects on your face because the interviewer
Hmm.
feels that okay, this person is dressed properly. The interview actually starts on a very positive note from the start. But if you are not dressed properly, it creates this halo, I would say, in the interviewer's mind that okay, if he or she is not dressed properly, that means they are not sincere. They are very casual about this job interview. So
Hmm.
dressing properly plays a very important role to create a strong first impression. Second is, I would
So,
say, yeah, go ahead.
no, no, no. Please, second, what you would say?
Second, I would say communication skills here. So if presenting thoughts very clearly and using appropriate language as well as vocabulary goes a long way. We tend to have this habit of switching languages. Like while speaking in English, we might have two or three words of Hindi while speaking. So that is
Hmm.
something we need to be a bit careful about. Okay, the interviewer is okay with this, then probably you can start off with this way. But sticking to one particular language,
Hmm.
speaking in Hindi, stick to Hindi. Speaking in English, stick to English. That helps to maintain
Got it.
the communication skills. Also, clearly, a lot of people have this habit of speaking very soft. Soft is not a problem. But then if it's not clear, the interviewer might not understand. And again, the interviewer might not say, pardon, please. They might not say pardon. So you might miss
Hmm.
out on a lot of information, right? So while mentioning, so these are two
Hmm.
things I feel helps in creating strong first impressions.
So the whole crux is, you're giving an interview. The interviewer wants to know that you want this, so you're taking it
Yeah,
seriously. So do your research well. And
right,
then the posture just shows your interest for this interview, the dressing sense,
correct,
everything just shows how
correct,
interested you are in this company. And then they just want to know that you're your authentic self,
right,
right? If you are stating whatever you are exactly to that person, and they
right,
want to know if you're the correct fit for them and if they are the correct fit for you. And that is the
correct.
whole underlying crux
Underlying,
of the whole
yes,
interview, and you
definitely.
have to make that happen, right? So I think I guess I asked you before that in a written resume how to highlight points which you are good at. You said to
Yes,
keep in mind those things, almost keep a work journal, maybe that what you have done,
right,
because you might not
right.
be someone who has not done anything. You have to like must have
Yeah,
done something or the other.
100%.
In the same way, now resume is a written paper which has been given, you're shortlisted. In the
Right.
same way, in an interview, what makes one stand out of the crowd?
A very small example I'll give here. If a company is coming for college placement and there are
Hmm.
10 students applying for that particular job, mostly all
Hmm.
the 10 of them have gone through the same curriculum, probably were in the same clubs.
Hmm.
One or two might be different in college, probably might have the same skills,
Hmm.
right? So your resume went ahead and you were shortlisted. Uh, am I audible?
You are audible. I just think your
Hello.
screen is yeah, yeah, yeah. Now it's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Video
Okay.
was frozen.
Yeah. So now what will help them stand out is the unique selling proposition, or what we call the USP.
Yeah.
If there are
Hmm.
now resume, you can mention everything in very, very briefly. Okay, I was part of this, I did this, I did that.
Hmm.
But then how do you expand those particular examples? How do you say something that sets you apart from other candidates is where you will win.
Hmm.
Here, what I mean by specific examples of what work have you done? What today, what emotion, EI today, every company also tests the emotional skills today. What soft skills you have. Now, when you're explaining these skills, that is something that will help you stand out.
Hmm.
But just mentioning that I feel I'm a great communicator. Mentioning that will not help.
Hmm.
Mentioning examples with that, where did you prove yourself that you were a good communicator, will help. Now,
Hmm.
by all of this, what I specifically mean is give specific examples regarding your skills, your achievements, your experiences that are related to the job.
Hmm.
And these will help you provide the interviewer that you are confident, and also the evidence of your ability that you can perform well, that you are fit for this company. Because that is what the interviewer is actually looking for at the end. If you are fit or not the
Hmm.
fit. And apart from this, if you mention these skills, they will be a part of a conversation and will just not be a
Hmm.
Q&A with the interviewer.
Hmm.
So these things can make you stand out in an interview at least.
Got it. So, Muskan, have you given many interviews or have you trained people around who have given many interviews?
Both. I have been on both sides of the table, I would say.
Okay. And can you just suggest some resources or tools or techniques that some people can use to, build resume, then also learn
Right.
some interview skills and communication abilities over time? Because it's a
Sure.
time-taking task. It's not a one-day thing,
Yeah.
right?
Correct. It's not. It's not a one day thing. I would definitely say. And the live document I mentioned to start off with,
Right.
I would say if they haven't done that till date, they should start it today itself. Because every
Hmm.
6 months, every 1 year, our resume is bound to change. Because we keep on doing things,
Hmm.
and sometimes we do things and we won't remember it 5 months down the line, right? So that's one thing that
Right.
personally they can do. Apart from this, there's one common thing that I get, that how do I prepare for my interview question answers? I do not have a particular draft. So if you go to sites like Indeed, you go to Glassdoor,
Hmm.
these sites
Hmm.
provide you a particular draft of answers. Now, copying that will not take them anywhere, of course. Using those particular answers and just going through them will give them an idea on how answers should be framed. Apart from
Okay.
this, there are so many channels on YouTube today which gives you all of these ideas out. Following those, preparing for mock interviews is something that I would 100% suggest, because if you prepare for mock interviews, there are a lot of sites which help you. You can go to career
Hmm.
counselors for this. You can take help from your friends. Preparing for mock interviews goes a long way. Apart from this, we have Toastmasters, which is a particular non-profit organization which helps you develop your public speaking skills, your presentation skills. That is something that you can do. Online courses, there's so many courses
Hmm.
available on Coursera, Udemy, crack interview in 15 minutes, build a resume in 10 minutes. So many courses available. So they can go through that. Apart from this, networking is something that I feel goes a long way. Being on LinkedIn and talking to people, talking to employees of that particular company will give them an understanding on what happens in the company. These will, and also attending these networking summits and seminars, not
Hmm.
leaving any opportunity where they can network. So this is one thing that my dad mentioned when I went to college, that if you want to do anything in college or you do not want to do anything in college, doesn't matter. Just don't stop networking ever. Because when you start networking, you get to understand that, okay, this person had appeared for this interview. How did the interview go? What happens? These are the skills I can add to my resume also. Like when I was studying in college, I had no idea about Canva. Canva is something which a
Hmm.
lot of people use nowadays. Okay, I had no idea about uh, MOOC courses. I did
Hmm.
not have any idea about digital marketing course by Google. So
Hmm.
I did all of these courses that added on to my resume, and that helped me go forward. So these are few things that they can keep on doing to add on the resume and practice interviews.
Okay, understood. So on that note, I'm going to end my questions from my side, and let's take up some questions which our audience have asked. So Muskan, I think your video has frozen again. Are you here? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I think I'm back. Yes, yes, I can hear you
Oh,
now.
great. Great. So the first question is, what exactly is NLP, and how do you use it to make it beneficial for you?
Okay. So NLP, I started learning NLP for my own benefit because during COVID, I was actually not feeling confident enough. I had
Hmm.
issues. I was feeling depressed most of the time. So that is why I started learning NLP. NLP gave me this confidence that and gave me tools and strategies that I could use to help me overcome this particular phase of my life. It gives you tools like visualization, which helps you build confidence. So today, I'm able to close my eyes and visualize or remove something. It gives you also tools and strategies to deal with procrastination. It gives you tools and strategies to understand other person's behavior, to understand that no two people can think alike. There are different perspectives. And when we're taking decision, there has to be a third party perspective. So
Hmm.
these are few things that NLP teaches you. It basically helps you understand your own behavior and other person's behavior, and we can use it to our benefit.
Got it. So the next question is, it's very difficult in social media or any channel to find your own niche. So
Hmm.
how does one person, because a person has many niches, so how does
Right,
one choose that, okay, this is something that I should go for and I should post regarding that?
right. This is something that everyone struggles with. It is not something that only you are struggling with. When I started off with LinkedIn, and I was not a soft skill trainer that time, I did not know. I wanted to post on LinkedIn, but I did not know what to post. Always confused that should I
Hmm.
post about A topic or B or C. So what I started doing is started reading what other people are posting.
Hmm.
And I started commenting on that particular post. This made me analyze, okay, where is my interest lying more? Am I commenting more on marketing posts? I am commenting more on finance posts. What am I reading mostly throughout the day? Am I reading more about HR? Am I reading more about finance? So when you start understanding what content you are taking in most of the time, that means you are interested
Hmm.
in that particular content, right? This is the first step.
Mhm.
Second thing is you can start at least posting about different topics. No one understands their niche in a day. Start posting about different
Mhm.
topics and understand and try to self-analyze which topic is appealing to me more. What is something that I have more interest in? And then continue posting on that particular topic. This is how I found my niche. That even in soft skills, my niche is public speaking. I post more
Mhm.
about public speaking. So that is how I try to find out my core strength.
Got it. And
Yeah.
Muskan, there are some skills. Maybe have you ever taken up people from MBA background to teach them soft skills or something?
Yes, yes.
So, are there any specific skills for that crowd, the MBA crowd, where, in interviews and all, these skills can be anything, like any niche, any blog, any particular language, any particular tool that they know. So, any set of skills, leadership skills, business skills, management skills. So, any set of skills which are, you see that it's an important thing when interviews happen, and that makes or breaks a deal.
Okay. I would say deal breaker when it comes for MBA students is communication and presentation.
Hmm.
Because
Okay.
whoever is hiring today a MBA graduate, they would expect that they are able to present
Hmm.
what they have learned, the theoretical knowledge properly, that to convey whatever they have in mind. So communication and presentation is something that's taught in all MBA colleges. I mean, all MBA students have given so many presentations till date. I feel they have aced the presentation part of it. But then communicating it properly is something that
Hmm.
definitely MBA students they are looking for. Second is also the emotionally intelligent part,
Hmm.
the emotional quotient. Here, how are they dealing under pressure? How are they responding to certain behaviors? Because in interviews, situational questions are also asked.
Right.
So that is when they test your EQ. Because
Hmm.
technical skills, literally everyone is having the same
Hmm.
set of skills. What sets you apart is your soft skills. Now, emotions be a part of those soft skills. Apart from that, leadership is something that they're expecting from an MBA graduate for sure. So developing all of these skills in college itself is something that I feel is very important. And how can they develop it? By joining clubs. There are societies in college, there are clubs in colleges. Being a part of that, taking those opportunities help. Apart from that, also attending events. There are
Hmm.
so many events that keep on happening online, offline. Attending those events also give them that knowledge. So I would say these two are the things that become the deal breakers.
Good. Understood. So the last question, I guess, from the people is: have you ever
Yes,
prepped for abroad jobs, and how is it different from India if you have done that?
I haven't prepped for abroad jobs, but I have prepped for abroad colleges.
Okay.
For interviews in college, which is
Mhm.
a bit more based on soft skills than technical skills. They
Okay. How so? Can
they
you explain some questions
Yeah.
or something?
So when I was appearing for interviews for abroad colleges, they ask questions very different. Like, what have you done? What is that one thing that matters to you most? What is that one value
Hmm.
system that you have in you that you will never break? So these questions are very different than what is asked usually. So this is where it sets you
Hmm.
apart from the different college interviews here.
Okay.
Job interviews,
Great.
I
So
do
I think
not have idea about abroad.
no issue.
Yes.
No issue. So I think we are done with the questions for today and for this webinar. Do you have anything else that you wanted to say or claim or tell our audience about? Anything else that comes up your mind?
I the one thing that I would say is be yourself in interviews. Do not try to copy someone. Do not try to
Hmm.
be like someone else. You may have role models, you may have idols, that's okay. But just be yourself because ultimately the interviewer is hiring you for you. So show your authenticity by being yourself. Apart from this, start preparing from beforehand. Do not sit a day before and research about the company and what needs to be done, because it will give you more time to sink in all the information and prepare really well. And you'll be confident while answering those questions in the interview.
Understood. Thank you so much. On that note, we are going to end this webinar. Thanks a lot, Muskan, for
Thank
helping
you
us
so
with
much.
this. Okay,
It was
guys. See
wonderful.
you. That's great to hear. Okay, bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.